We back at it again. What's up, Remy?
Yo, back live with another episode. How's everything, man? How's your week been?
It's been good, man. Something I saw something on the news today that kind of like speaks on what we were supposed to be talking about today, and that's fatherhood.
Hmm.
And that was it was like 17 gang members in Brooklyn, I
Yeah.
think from your area too, that got indicted on like 118 counts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, each count is like a lot of years in jail.
Right.
Or like probably some of them probably are like 1 or 2, but some of them are probably like 7, 10.
Yeah.
And you're kind of thinking like, damn, like how did they get to that position to get
Right.
118 counts on them? And then you
Right.
kind of like got to reflect on um, growing up, like especially their age, your brain is not developed.
Hmm.
So when you're young and you grow up in a low income area, like you're exposed to a lot of things.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you're exposed to a lot of things, you're too young to comprehend it because your scope is small.
Yeah.
Um, so then when you're experiencing it, sometimes those experiences are traumatic experiences. So you're a lot of times you're crying, your stress and chronic stress hinders growth
Yeah.
in your body. So you're going through all these emotions, and those emotions eventually turn into anger, and then you're looking for answers to the world that you're living in, and no one has the answers for you. And then somebody that's like misguided in the community
Hmm.
comes around and says, "Hey, look, this is the answer,"
Right.
and then boom, now you in a case with 118 counts against you
Right.
because
So
the wrong person came into your life and messed your life up.
right. So you think that's interesting? I think I heard about that story too. I think there was, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken, I don't know if it's the same story, but I think I was reading about it, and I think they were actually watching those kids for like a long period of time before they ran up in the place and
Mhm.
before they busted them. So I thought it was interesting.
And the
But that makes me ask you,
Feds got
yeah,
like a lot of technology. I saw that they got the rapper Pooh Shiesty on because he posts money on his Instagram, and it's
yeah,
all the barcodes. And then they had grabbed the bag from an incident, and they linked his Instagram to the money that they found in the bag, and he got in trouble for that.
that's crazy.
They're gonna find you. The Feds gonna find
So that raises a question. So would in the case with these kids, I think you said 17 of them.
you.
If I'm not mistaken, it was 17. So you feel like the father being absent from the lives of these kids is potentially what led to it, or maybe them just not having a strong male figure in their life is what led to this, or could have been something that prevented it.
Having a father present always increase your odds of survival.
Mm,
Because you got somebody else that could guide you through this
yeah,
crazy world. Because this world is crazy.
yeah,
It having a father there increases your odds. It doesn't automatically turn you into a criminal. You still have choices to make, but definitely. But if you have a lot of male figures
yeah,
in front of you that gives you wrong answers, because we're all looking for answers.
right.
So the job of the male figure is to give you those answers. And a lot of
Mm,
times when the kid get their answers, they think it's short answer. No, it's multiple choice. Life is multiple choice.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they got the answer before they even seen options.
mm,
So when they see the answer, they nobody could tell them anything. Like, no, this is the answer. You had your chance to give me the answer. This is the answer that I found. I'm gonna die by this answer. And we see a
right,
lot of people, a lot of kids doing that. You know what I mean? To the point where grown men in jail who lost their lives forever doing life in prison are dictating what young people are doing in the streets.
right.
Who are free. They're free. They're out of jail. They're out of jail. They have their whole life in front of them, but they have to take orders from a person who's already lost their lives in jail,
Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
yeah.
That's
That's
just
heavy.
because they already found the answer and they feel like this is the answer and no other answer is correct. And
Right.
there's no male role models to intercept that. What about you, man? Any news
I think
saw this week?
I
Oh,
mean, now that you
add
bring
on
it
to
up, I
you
think
wanna,
that
you wanna add on to that? My bad. I'm ready. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, now that you mention that, I think like not to throw shots at him, but I think the whole Tristan Thompson
What?
fiasco is kind of interesting,
Uh-huh.
especially like just tying it back to what we're about to talk about now. Because I think again, not to throw shade on him, but just like analyze the situation and give my perspective on it and tie it back into what we're talking about. I think initially he didn't even having the baby outside of his having a baby outside of his relationship. I think he didn't want the kid. I think he even tried to pay it off or pay the mother. I forgot her name. I gotta go look that up. I think he tried to pay her. I don't know I think have abortion or just pay her off in general. But what I took from that was he just didn't want to be part of the kid's life. And I'm like, that that is heavy, like in our community, just that aspect. Like fathers not wanting to be a part of the kid's life for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And we'll get more into depth about that later, but I just thought that was interesting because that will potentially lead to another situation with a kid not growing up with their dad, you know,
Mhm.
and we don't know what long term and short. I mean, we do know, but definitely it will cause long term effects on that kid not having a father in their life. So I thought that was interesting, um, so to speak. What's your take on it? What you think?
Um, I think for like I'm not gonna comment on the relationship between Tristan Thompson and the girl.
Yeah.
As you know, as educators, we could definitely comment on like the kid um,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of that side of it. I mean, I hope that he was just guys, um, they want pleasure, but they don't want responsibility. So like he made an accident, and actually there's obviously an accident happened because he didn't want the situation to happen. But like when you make the accident. So the fact that he made the accident, um, that's his fault.
Right.
Um, the decision to not have the kid or to have the kid in his pot started off with his side first. So now
Right.
it's her side.
Yeah.
So and whether she decides to keep it or not, that's her choice.
Mm-hmm.
But if she decides to keep it, he definitely needs to take full responsibility for that because again, we can't have kids in the world that again it lowers the percentage of survival for the kid without the father.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he could take care of it. Um,
Yeah, and I think
so
her name was Marilee Nichols, if I'm pronouncing that
mhm,
right. Just want to make
yeah.
sure.
But yeah, I think he definitely need to take full responsibility for that. He doesn't even need to be with the lady, but he just needs to be involved. You know what I mean?
Yo, that I don't want to talk too much about that because I do want to like transition, but it's just I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe we can't speak on it because we're not in that situation,
Yeah.
but it connects back to what you said. Like,
Mhm.
not even if you're not on good terms with the person that you had the kid with, you still have obligations to that life that you
Yeah.
created,
You
and I
still
just feel
you you still have
yeah,
obligations to the community. You still have obligations to what you created. Like the tying it back to those 17 gang members that got indicted on 118 counts.
yeah,
Um, that was because poor parenting. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like poor parenting led to that situation, the poor environment, and sometimes it's not even the parents' fault. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But the environment created um, those individuals who make those decisions,
Yeah,
and they have to deal with the responsibility of their actions. I don't think just because you grow up in an environment don't mean that you have you still have the moral obligations not to hurt nobody else.
right.
Their actions hurt other individuals, so that's why they should definitely go to jail for what they did. I don't think there's no if ands of like you got to go to jail because that's what life is. Like life, we don't. Life goes on, bro.
Mm-hmm.
When we make a mistake, it's a heavy mistake
Mm,
because of our where we come from. being a low income community and all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
when we make a mistake early, it catches up on us.
Mm.
So they just need to understand that mistake, certain mistakes hold certain consequences to it, and
Mm.
that's what a father figure tells you. Like, yo, it's not that you're not gonna make the mistake, but at least a father figure would give you the information. A strong father figure would give you the information so that when you get to that crossroads, you
Mm.
make the right decision.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
let's let's go into the topic today, though, of fatherhood. What was your perception of fatherhood? Like, who created that perception of fatherhood in your head growing up?
Dang. My perception of fatherhood. Sheesh. Honestly, it started off one way and then it transitioned to the next, just because, like, based off my experiences. So it started off with having, of course, your biological father in your life, your biological father in your presence, in your midst, who's there for you. But in my situation, as well as a lot of our situations, that's not the case. So then it transitions when you don't have that to what we were talking about earlier, the next strong, black male steps up, you know. And for so I grew up with three brothers, so we kind of bounced off each other, in a lot of ways, and in a lot of situations, each and every one of us stepped up, and especially as we got older. But initially, it was my older brother, so he stepped up to fill in that role, and then that's when the transition, kind of clicked in my head. Like, initially, it's supposed to be your main father, the father that gave birth to you, of course. But then it transitions. If that person is not in the household, then the next person needs to step up. And if that
Mhm.
person's not there, then the next person needs to step up. There should always be somebody, some male figure in the household, just upholding the rules, enforcing it, enforcing the rules of the other parent, especially if it's the mom. Because, kids, especially male kids, they rambunctious, you know what I mean? So they don't have that male force in the house. They may not listen. They may be bouncing off the walls and things of that nature. So my perception of fatherhood is just, of course, having that start off with just having that male, the original dad in that role. But if he can't be, the next person needs to step up and just fill in the role. How about you? What you think? What was
Um,
your perception of fatherhood growing up?
I didn't. I don't think I had a true perception of fatherhood
Mm,
growing up because I didn't have no one in my life to like say like this is what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah, you didn't
You
have no
have,
siblings, right?
I had a sibling. I had a brother that I grew up when I was younger, but then um, he got removed from my life when my mom separated with my dad.
Mm,
Um, just a little bit after my mom separated with my dad, so I had the comfort and the security of two parents early.
mm,
Then and I had like a sister, and then I had a brother. So I had like a little core family.
mm,
And then when things deteriorated with my mother and my father, um, you start. I started to feel the absence.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So my perception was kind of like I didn't have one because I was still
yeah,
young. I was still young enough to not know what that is or what does that mean. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I was I still thought girls had cooties when I was that age. So I didn't really have a perception of fatherhood. But what I did learn is like my second male figure after my father
Mm,
was a French dude. Um,
yeah,
and shout outs to him because he kind of like he would fill in the roles when he
yeah,
could because he had his
yeah.
own kid. He would fill in
Mm,
the roles of what a father was, and he also like he kind of like also like broke the ice because
yeah,
when you from uh where you from it's predominantly black,
yeah,
so he was the only like he was the first kind of like Caucasian white man person that like that what we call today. Obviously
Yeah.
those colors don't really like those colors don't really exist, but he was there and he showed me like a different like a route, or like he was making pancakes with me, so he was showing me that type of bonding. We were playing
Yeah.
video games together, so this was early on. But then me and him, like he had his own mental issues, so that had we had a separation there.
Mm.
So all my life I was still like searching on how to like not only be a man but also to be like how to be a father when I get to there.
Right.
And I probably would never know how to be a father. I probably like have the information,
Hmm.
tools, because you read about it,
Yeah.
but I won't really know until I get into that position whether what
Mm.
I learned from the years of educating myself on it, like I
Mm.
wouldn't know how to utilize them until I'm at that position.
Yeah.
You get what
And
I'm saying?
I think that's powerful. I respect that. Shout out to all like the genuine men out there who can identify that within a child. You know what I'm saying? Like they're missing that father figure and try to step in where they can and not overstep, but just step in where they can. So I respect that because like they say the old saying, it takes a village. Somebody doesn't have something or someone, and you acknowledge that. Don't turn a blind eye or be short with them. Have no patience. Understand and analyze where it is they coming from, and why
Mm-hmm.
it is they doing what they doing, and try to help out in any way you can. So I
Also,
respect.
you
Yeah.
you you learn from like not having somebody directly teach you, because a parent, because kids are gonna always have questions. You
Mm,
taught kids, they always have questions like, yo, what
yeah.
happens when you do this?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need somebody to be there to answer those questions. So when you don't have that person to answer those questions, a lot of times if you're like an inquisitive kid, like a lot of times you have to look at other male figures and just be like and see how they move.
Right.
And you kind of like see what they did and then be like, okay, let me imitate that and see
Right.
if I could like if since he's doing it, it must be right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
that's where
definitely.
it gets tricky in our community, because you can't be imitating everybody, because then you
Exactly.
imitate the wrong crowd and then boop.
Exactly. You end up like those, I guess, those kids that got indicted,
Yeah.
back to what you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy. Um, that, yeah, what you explained is definitely, that was a heavy first question. But to push it even further, so being in that environment already where you're trying to form a perception without a dad or without a father, how did growing up without a father affect your mental health?
Mm. First of all, I was reading this article
Mm-hmm.
about the lack of fathers and how does it affect mental health. I'm gonna read it real quick. It's like
Mm-hmm.
3 paragraphs, so
Yeah.
you gotta bear with me for a second.
Yeah.
So it says, it says, so the study is from like all4kids.org.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, for starters, studies repeatedly show that children without fathers positively present in the home suffer greatly. Even before a child is born, their father's attitude towards the pregnancy, behaviors during the prenatal period, and the relationship between their father and mother may indirectly influence risk for adverse birth outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
In early childhood studies show that school age children with good relationships with their fathers were less likely to experience depression, to exhibit disruptive behaviors, or to lie. Overall, they were far more likely to exhibit pro social behavior.
Yeah.
In adolescence, the implications of fatherless homes are incredible, as these children are more likely to experience the effects of poverty. Former President George W. Bush even addressed the issue while in office, stating over the past 4 decades, fatherlessness has emerged as one of our greatest social problems. We know that children who grow up with absent fathers can suffer lasting damages. They are more likely to end up in poverty or drop out of school, become addicts to drugs, have a child out of wedlock, or end up in prison. Fatherlessness is not the only cause of these things, that's important to say, but our nation must recognize it is an important factor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Last paragraph. Narratively speaking, many individuals can attest to the fact that lasting impacts of a father in a child's life cannot be denied. Many would admit they have struggled with feelings of abandonment, definitely, and low self esteem due to the lack of a father's love in their lives. Some have turned to drugs, alcohol, risky sexual activities, unhealthy relationships, or other destructive behaviors to numb the pains of fatherlessness. Now,
You're gonna have to share that article, man.
yeah, I gotta share it with you. So when I read it and I reflected, because you gotta reflect on your life a lot.
Hmm.
I was remember I was it was an episode on Will's on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah,
I think all of us can relate
I
to
know
that.
exactly what episode you're talking about too. You put me
Yeah,
this.
and the Will Smith was just like I remember I watched it for the first time fresh, and I was going through the episode with Will Smith, and then I could see the buildup of the happiness that he had being around his dad,
Yeah.
and then the disappointment that he had when his dad left,
Hmm.
and you kind of related to that feeling. And then when he turned around to Uncle Phil and he had somebody to support him there,
Yeah.
we didn't have that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We didn't have
Yeah.
that person to give us a hug to be like, "Yo, it's gonna be okay."
Well, that male figure, because we did
I
have our
mean,
moms.
yeah, we did have our moms, but we didn't have
Yeah.
that male figure right there
Yeah.
to hug. I think that was the most powerful part because right after he felt that way, he turned around and he hugged Uncle Phil, and I was like, then my eyes started getting watery. I'm like, yo, what's going on?
Right.
So you realize then that like all your life you are looking for that male figure,
Hmm.
like you are looking for him, and then you get to an age where it's like, okay, I figured out on my own. I don't need you no more.
Right.
You know what I
And then
mean?
that's when they come back.
And that's when they come back, like like we were talking before. But at that point, it's kind of like too late because it's like I already figured this out, and you didn't believe in me enough for you to for me to even put you in where I'm at right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how you feel. Like, damn, you left me to fend, and the world is crazy. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And you created me in this atmosphere. So
Yeah.
so when you feel that and you get to that point, you just be like, all right, cool. I already made it here without you. So let me just
Right.
continue with it on. What do you feel about it? How you feel about
How did growing up without a father affect my mental health?
it? Mm-hmm.
I think through the perception of observing my mother is when it began to really affect me and weigh on me. Um, because going to school, what I started to realize was that I don't know if I was the only one that did this, or I was just always like analytical, like growing up, even now, like so much. And I used to just sit there and I used to analyze things that probably most kids our age didn't. And one thing that I realized and I analyzed was, and I would see this, and I would know because I would observe. I would see the kids that got dropped off. Sometimes they'll get dropped off by their dads. Sometimes they'll get dropped off by their moms. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, you have both parents in your life. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I realized was I was like, the kids that attended schools and they had both parents, they they dressed better than the kids who didn't. You know what I mean? And that was just that just that's how it started on the minimal level for me. But then I started to think even further than that. I'm like, how deep does this go? So that was one thing that started to like impact me mentally. I was just like, dang. So if I had a father in my life, would I be able to afford certain things? Would I be able to dress certain type of way? Would my life be a little bit better? And then it went even deeper, and I was like, would my mom's life be a little bit easier?
Mm-hmm.
Because mom had four of us, four boys, and just doing it all on her own, just making sure we all had everything that we needed and trying to love and provide for us equally. You know what I'm saying? It could be a burden, it could be a strain. So in my eyes, I'm like, dang, if pops was around, maybe she wouldn't have to work as much,
Mm-hmm.
double, full-time hours and then some, just to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? So at an early age, you begin to think, okay, like I can't wait till I get older to try to help out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To try to
It,
step up.
now that you mentioned that, it's crazy because when you're younger, you don't really appreciate it. You just ask a lot of questions of like, yo, why is it like this? Why I can't get this? So you get sad, you get frustrated, and then that frustration turns into anger, like I said earlier, with
Yeah.
your mom. But your mom is just doing all that she can, and you
She
kind
doing
of
her
like
best.
forget that, not forget, but like when you get older, you realize like, yo, my mom had to starve for you to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your mom got 4 boys, so she really had to starve for y'all to survive.
Yo, to this day, I sit there and I think about it. I'm like, how?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Mhm.
but
My
just
mom, your mom had 4. I only had one, so I can't even imagine.
yo, and then like to think back on it, say, hindsight is 2020. It
Mhm.
was weighing on me then, and I'm like, that's what kids growing up in like our communities they go through. You know what I'm saying? They watching that, and then you feel powerless because, fortunately, you too young to really help out. Like especially with the things that really matter, which is the bills, financial assistance. So you gotta just wait and wait and wait, and you gotta watch and watch and watch. You know what I'm saying? Your mom struggle. This person that's doing all this for you, this person that means so much to you, you really can't help out as much as you want to or in the way that you want to. So you do little things, you know what I'm saying? Help, bring the groceries upstairs, clean the house, things like that. But it doesn't really kick in because you're like, this is not really how I want to help out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I just feel like that's how it really impacted me, just not being able to do as much as, my father should have been doing in order to alleviate the pressures of my mom. And, it definitely weighed on me
How did
mentally.
it feel seeing your mom struggle with you?
Yo, bro, it's something that always resonated. And I knew it was difficult. And it's something that always resonated with me because when I did get into that role, when I started working, I was like, going harder with certain things, like anything that she needed. She would even, it was some days where she would be like, chill. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, because it feels like you playing catch up for all the time that you couldn't help out when you were younger.
Mhm.
And it was crazy, man. It was just a whole plethora of emotions, and you just got to find a way to be in control of it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And we like you forget that, like, not forget, but like you when you get older and you realize that humans are just all we're just all learned behaviors from everybody around us.
Mm.
That's where you really realize the necessity of having a father. 'Cause
Yeah.
emotionally, you're just there's like a gaping hole, like
Mm.
somebody that's not there for you to teach you how to be a man, somebody that's not there to teach you, like, yo, when you go through tough moments, um, but what you do learn is how to navigate it by yourself, which
Yeah.
makes you stronger. But
Mm.
it's also you have to numb yourself a lot for you to get there. You gotta like really be able to like say like, I'm gonna put my head down and I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm gonna learn through those mistakes.
Right.
Nobody there to instruct you, so you burn your hand burns a lot by the fire.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch somebody touch somebody, either somebody touch the fire and said, "Listen, don't touch it," or you
Yeah.
watch somebody touch the fire and burn. A lot of times you had to touch the fire to figure out, like, "Oh snap, I'm about to burn."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's
Without
crazy.
having that
Yeah.
figure in your life tell you not to.
Mm-hmm.
What you were saying? But,
Now I was saying that it was crazy how this is about fatherhood, but we're talking about mothers. Um, do
yo,
you
these step
think
up.
do you think that a woman could raise a man?
Do I think that's like, oh man, I feel like it's a trick question. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, that's a dang. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say
Okay.
yeah because my mom was basically the one that raised me. I'm gonna say yeah, but I'm gonna say there's definitely some aspects in that relationship that a mom can't provide to a male that she's raising. So
Mm-hmm.
she can, but there's definitely going to be some pivotal things that are missing. because there's certain things, even growing up, especially depending on the dynamic of the relationship, there was just certain things that I didn't really feel comfortable talking to my mom about. You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned earlier, you was like, when we were younger, we thought you thought girls had cooties. You know what I'm saying? That was something that growing up, you is really like being a male is really kind of like, I want to say a little bit awkward or a little bit weird talking to your mom about it. It was just sometimes like in my mind, I would be like, or sometimes I would feel like, yo, I want to talk to somebody about this, but I'm like, I can't talk to my mom about this because number one, I don't know if she's gonna take it. She might flip out. You know what I mean? So it was like, damn, I really want.
Those conversations are reserved to. There's certain conversations that's reserved to dads. You know
Yeah,
what
I'm like, yo, I really want to talk to my pops about it.
I
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just feel like, yeah, mom could do that, but there's just certain things that are literally reserved for a son and his dad, vice versa, a
mean?
daughter and their mom. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. What's your take on that?
I just always I feel like like that's the power of words. Like, yeah, I just read an article that about the power of an absent father, but
You
um,
always reading some article.
I'm always reading some article, man. But you realize that words, yeah, words could are used to describe human actions,
Yeah.
but like you know what I mean. It's hard for you to quantify how you feel though,
Mm.
with the absent father, because you like because there's like a huge hole.
Yeah.
There's like a huge hole in your mind, um, and then like you feel like throughout your life you trying to fill it up with like different male models
Mm-hmm.
to see like which one like fits you or like which one is the right one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you constantly looking at different males. Like I said, at first I had uh, my mom's best friend's, husband,
Mm-hmm.
who's from France, French lineage, and
Yeah.
then um, I went and I had my mentor, who's my mentor today, who's a
Mm-hmm.
teacher, who's a history teacher, who's the reason why I'm a history teacher today,
Yeah.
who had a huge responsibility in my life.
Mm-hmm.
To answer the question directly, I would say no.
You
Um,
don't think a woman could raise a
don't
man to be a man?
think a woman could raise a man to be a man, but I don't want it to be taken as
You just
disrespect.
lost. You just lost all your viewers, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want it to be taken as disrespect to my mom. I love my mother, but and without her, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I feel like she made me, like I said before. I think her starving made me survive. So
Yeah.
without her, I wouldn't be able to even get the male influences to be who I am today.
Yeah.
But I needed those male influences to shape me in a certain direction.
Nah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I mean?
see
Because
that
I had
point.
no direction. My mom didn't give me my mom made me survive. Like I
Yeah.
survived with her. Like you know what I mean? We in
Yeah.
the trenches together.
Facts.
But
Facts.
um to direct me to the person that I am today, nah, I needed some male figures in my life to
Some male
direct that.
figures. I don't know. I don't know, man. I was like, I guess that's just different dynamic. Cause I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I feel like my mom, like, even there's just certain things like I feel like she definitely, I feel like a woman could definitely do that. Even though there's gonna be some aspects missing, I feel like a woman could definitely do it because there's things that's just engraved in me. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that I got it from my mom. You know what I'm saying? Because who else would I have got it from? You know what I mean? Like crazy things like I don't even notice it. Other people gotta point out to me and I'm like, yo, that's my mom right there. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel like the way that I interact with people, the way like if I'm sitting down, for example, and an elderly person walks in, I'm immediately gonna get up. Or if I have a hat on, I'm gonna take it off. Just little mannerisms like that. And I feel like, that's one of the components that's one of the components that you should have to be a man. It's like be
Mm-hmm.
respectful, carry yourself a certain type of way, interact with people a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely like respectful to everybody that I encounter. And I'm like, yo, that's until it's time not to be. And I'm like, that's also from my mom too. So I'm like, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, just these different aspects. Like, even like if I'm talking to my brothers and if I'm talking to my brothers and we're like, shooting the breeze or whatever the case may be, we're not paying attention to what we're saying. You know what I mean? Like they're dropping f-bombs or whatever the case may be. But if my mom starts walking past and they do that, I'm like, yo, watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like,
Yeah,
like yeah,
yeah,
I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and
yeah.
I feel like, she did a good job at that because it's like I
Mhm.
notice it in every environment that I go to, and it stands out because even people they realize it and they talk about it, and I'm just like, that's my mom's, bro.
Yeah.
So, I know it's crazy how we have different perspectives, but that's
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, if the reason why I say that, because if it was up to my mom, I'll be in the church, sign of the cross. Uh, you know what I mean? Every Sunday, my hair would have been cut down. I would have been dressed with button ups and church pants if it was up to my mom. So it's kind of like that's how I know like she didn't like the direction I went. It's just a direction of like the men that were around me,
Yeah.
or like how I decide. Like she definitely built me up, but
Mm-hmm.
and she definitely made me survive
Yeah.
in a terrible spot in a terrible place. But her doing that definitely made me have the people the male figures come in and just interject, especially my mentor, my fifth to eighth grade history teacher.
Yeah. So that's I see your point. I get it. But
Mm.
it brings us into the realm of interactions and experiences. People that we grow up in this space and people that we interact with kind of shape and hone us and even fill in that absent male role sometimes. So the question that I would have is like, how has growing up without a father, how did growing up without a father impact your relationship with other people that you encountered?
Mm. Um, it definitely you definitely got to go through a filtering system with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to get used to you for me to be comfortable because
Yeah.
um, like I don't like loved ones come and go, in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We had our fathers in the beginning, and then our fathers abandoned us. So in our minds, in my mind in particular, can't speak for your mind. In my mind in particular, um, there's a sense of like, okay, are you gonna leave me too? Like,
Yeah.
um,
Like
so it's kind
abandonment.
of like, yeah. So I'm looking at this black and white. Like, what are you here for?
Right.
You know what I mean, like, and you can see that too in a lot of the rap music where
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot of males that come from poverty.
Right.
They're like, and their reactions to females loving them because females wasn't loving them before is
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, y'all only here from my money and my fame
Right.
because we grew up and females didn't want us when we were poor,
Right.
or our male figures didn't want us when we were poor and down and out. And then we get older, we get all this money, and then we start to link the money to why people like us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it kind of like impacts your relationship. You kind of like feel like everything is about, okay, what am I bringing to the table? What is this person bringing to the table? Type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of feel like no one really loves you because because the person that's supposed to love you the most was
Mm-hmm.
absent,
Right.
was gone.
Definitely.
So you're my man. One of my coworkers said to me that because he grew up without both parents, he realized like he was like, yo, my relationships get affected by it because I don't know like if I'm with this person, are they gonna leave me and forsake me just like my dad did?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I felt that, and it applied to what I go through with my
Mm-hmm.
relationships. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but it also when I do get comfortable with you, I realize that the love that I have for you is strengthened because I
Yeah.
realize that you aren't gonna leave,
Yeah.
and you did go through the fire. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
go through the fire with me, then it's just not there's nothing that we can talk about. But if we went through some fire,
Yeah.
then it's like it's real genuine love there. That's why like
Yeah.
I have genuine love for everybody. That's like if I grew up with you, there's always
Mm-hmm.
gonna be love there because you were in a space where I felt like I wasn't loved.
Mm-hmm.
You loved me. You know what I mean? Like you gave me
Mm-hmm.
that love. So now that's the only way I feel like, even to this day, whether it be like all my co-teachers, I always genuinely love them because we battled together.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through something together. We
Mm-hmm.
experienced something together, and we did it together.
Right.
So that's how I look at my relationships now. The
Yeah.
first thing you think about is skepticism, because you're like, oh, is this person gonna leave the relationship?
Right.
But then after you like, oh, okay, this person's here to stay. All right, cool. Now we could build.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. I feel that. I definitely feel that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that it definitely that I was heavy because I definitely correlate with what you're saying. For me, I think it impacted me primarily in a sense of trust issues, and
That's a
then
good thing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then incorporating insecurities. So having my father not be there or my father leave definitely it increases, like it heightens your inability to trust people because you in your mind you like certain relationships are just not certain. It's unstable. So you know what I'm saying. When you meet somebody or you interact with them, your your guard is at an all time high because you're like, you know, I'm not trying to get too close to you because I got too close to somebody before,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're not here no more. So you know what I'm saying. You have that wall and it's build up, and for me, that's just how it was. Like, and connecting back to what you said, until you like earns your keep or earns your stay, those walls aren't coming down. You know
That's
what
a
I'm saying? Because I'm like, nah, I went through that once. I know how it made me feel. It's still impacting me today. I'm not gonna keep going through that. So I feel
mm-hmm.
like it definitely put me in a place where I tried and I tested people, in a sense to say, okay, let's see if you could earn your keep. Let's see if I could actually let down my walls to let you in, and you got to basically prove yourself. And I looked at it like I think it's both negative and positive, honestly, because growing up in the neighborhoods that we went in, you couldn't afford to be too trusting anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like having that it served as a positive because it made me think critically. You know what I'm saying? Because I had that eerie feeling when I met people, keep a close eye on them. That when I saw the way they moved, I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't trust you too deeply,
Mm-hmm.
because you look what you're doing to everybody else that you encounter. And if I would have been so willy nilly and trusted you, now I would be in a sticky situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it goes too far when we don't learn how to control that. You know what I'm saying? We just kind of let it like run rampant, and then it affects positive relationships. People that's actually there for you and want to get to know you genuinely. Now because like you are on high alert everywhere, now you're pushing people away. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it definitely impacted me, like trust wise, definitely. But at the same time, it was positive. But I feel like all of us that are impacted by that, we have to analyze that, and we got to learn how to kind of control that. Otherwise, we'll wind up destroying positive relationships in our lives. It's
That's
good
true.
to use that to keep away the negative relationships, but when you just start destroying every type of relationship that comes your way, it's like, all right, you got to do some soul searching, some healing, and all that stuff and all that good stuff. Because one thing leads to another. I actually learned that from studying acupuncture, and not to deviate too much, but kind of into health a little bit. You study acupuncture, and let's say, for example, you're suffering from a chronic illness. You know what what Western medicine does is they just attack. I'm gonna use diabetes as an example. Diabetes is like it has to do directly with the pancreas, and what Western medicine does is, or Western focus is, they focus directly on that pancreas when it's so much other things prior to that that led up to the destruction of the pancreas. And I
Mm.
feel like connecting that back to us, we kind of have to, look at the root cause of our insecurities, our trust issues, and we got to work on that, and it'll fix everything else in our lives. But I feel like a lot of us are just skipping steps, you know what I'm saying? And then skipping those steps, we start messing up positive relationships in our lives. And yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
I like that you said what you said is that sometimes that stuff could spiral out of control.
yeah,
Kind of like speaks to like when I'm watching these crime documentaries, and like the passion that people who are in brotherhoods, whether
Yeah.
crip gangs or Italian mafia or whatever motorcycle gangs, whatever the brotherhood that is there, because when you don't feel love from a particular area and you get love from a new area, even though it's negative, like you want to ride or like die for those individuals there. So you're gonna do things that that are detrimental because you have a bond with these individuals
Right.
because they're showing you love and they're like, and you can't tell me nothing because they're showing me love and I'm gonna
Mm.
ride or die for those individuals.
Yeah. It's like the
You know what I
first time
mean?
you felt love, so I gotta.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to go all in. So, but then when it comes to like protecting them, it's like, nah, I'm not gonna. You still gotta. Your survival kicks in, and your scared kicks in, and then you go up and you probably tell on them too, because
Yeah.
you trust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, um, it's just you could see it in like all the aspects of our community. The lack of an absent father like just affects us because either we gonna love strongly
Mm-hmm.
or we gonna guard our hearts
Yeah.
so that we don't get it broken anymore. And a lot of times we mix the drugs in it and to continue to numb that pain, and then we end up hurting other people.
Hurt people. Hurt people.
Hurt people, hurt people.
You know what's interesting? I had an interesting thought you was talking. It's crazy
Mhm.
how the main people, the main person that is supposed to provide and protect for us is the main ones that kind of start us off in a bad way when they don't
Mm.
do what they don't do what they're supposed to do, like be there for us, the basic necessities, give it to us. You know what I'm saying? Then we step out in that world and we from that we perceive the world in a completely different manner.
Different way.
So that's interesting.
I always think of it as like I feel like we see the world more black and white, and
Mm,
everybody is seeing the world in color
yeah.
because of of your privilege. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
there's always somebody doing worse than you.
yeah.
I mean, no matter how poor I was, there was definitely a kid down the block that was even poor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, um, you, you know, but
Yeah, I get you.
but next question.
I get you.
This is the one question that's definitely on the that was on the docket that we had to answer. And that is, what is the mentality? What mentality should a black father have in raising their kids? We gotta speak about the mentality. Then we gotta speak about what is our mentality when we're raising our sons? What our mentality when we're raising our daughters?
I think it connects back to what I just said. It's a very very thought provoking question. But I think it goes back to what I said about the our parents in our parents in the homes, especially the fathers.
Mm,
The mentality for the fathers should be to protect and to provide. So that's the for me. I was like that, like correlating it back to the feelings that I felt growing up. If I had somebody there that was doing that, I probably wouldn't feel the things that I felt growing up. Because growing up, two things that I felt was, dang, why is it such a struggle for like my mom to provide for us, even though she did and she did the best she could. It was a struggle for my mom to provide for us. Where if my dad was there, he would help in that provision. And two, sometimes I don't feel safe. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I got my brothers here, but remember growing up, I had my older brother. So when he wasn't around, it was on me. And we're a good few years apart. I think we're 6, 7 years apart. So when he wasn't around, he had to go to work, and my mom had to go to work, and it was just me. I'm not really there. I'm not really like an adult yet. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, I'm like, yo, what if somebody come up in here?
mm,
Like, how am I supposed to
right.
protect myself?
You
You know
got
what
to
I'm
be the
saying?
man of the house.
Yeah, I'm like,
Mhm.
cause my mom and my brother, they used to work overnight. So a lot of the times it would just be me and my two younger brothers in the house. So in my mind, I'm like, in the neighborhood that we're growing up in the projects. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, So in my mind, I'm like, yo, what somebody run up in here, or what if I gotta step out because I gotta get something for them, and I'm like, yo, I don't feel safe. I'm like, yo, so I'm like, if I had a male figure there, I would feel protected. You know what I'm saying? He would be the one that would reassure me, yo, everything is okay. You know what I'm saying? And not to say like women are weak or my mom is weak, but sometimes even my mom was there. I'm like, if somebody breaks in the house, I got to protect my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's basic signs. The female anatomy is not the same. It's not built the same as the male anatomy. They don't have the same strength, the same power. So that plays into that. So I feel like the main two roles of the father is supposed to be provide. I got to provide for the life that I created because we didn't ask to be here. I brought them here. I got to provide for them, and not only providing for them as they grown up and they traveling to and from wherever they may go, I gotta protect them. I gotta make them feel like they're safe. I gotta make them feel like, yo, I'll be there for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to deviate too much, but like a situation what happened in school to another one of my classmates, and they'll be like, yo, I'm gonna get on the phone and call your dad. And then when they dad will pull up to the school, I'll be like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like I'm like, yo, that used to hit me. I'm like, yo, if I had that, I'll feel like I'll feel like, yo, I'm the man. So I'll feel like I'm safe. Like to know that somebody would pick up the phone, call my dad, and he would be at the school, like, yo, what's going on with my kid? I'm like, that's an amazing feeling, and it makes you feel safe, makes you feel like you're protected.
You don't
So, and
get
I
that.
also feel like
You gotta build your own safe.
exactly. So I feel like, and then I feel like the father needs to instill that within his son or within his daughter. Um, you got to protect, you got to provide. With the daughter, it may be a little bit different. I don't want to speak too much on that because I'm not a woman or a female. But I feel like the daughter, the male, the father needs to have that mentality. I got to protect and provide for my kids, and then instill that within his son. When you grow up and you become a man, and you the head of your household, you got to protect and you got to provide. You know what I'm saying? But what's your take on that?
Um, Definitely like growing up where I'm growing up, my mindset is like there's no excuses. Um,
Yeah,
like it don't matter if you grew up with no parents. It don't matter if you grew up with it don't matter what disability you have. Like life, like the world really don't. I wouldn't say don't care, but I could say that because
yeah,
when you
definitely.
grow up where we grow up, you, nobody really cares.
Eat or be eating, bro.
It's eating or be eating. So you got to grab it from the mud. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
people along the way that helps you, but you still got to go grab it for yourself. Like if you
yeah,
don't go and get it, like the world is not gonna be like, oh yeah, we saw you slip. Here, let me pick you up. No, you got to
facts,
go grab it yourself. Don't expect no handouts. I
facts.
mean, if they come, that's a blessing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because they will come, but
mm,
they're not gonna come if you stagnant. They're gonna come if
right.
you keep moving. That's one thing is information is gold.
Mm,
Information is gold, and I want to definitely like teach my child because I don't want the world to teach my child. I want to teach my child.
mm,
When the world teaches your child is Russian roulette, especially if you're coming from our community. Um, that nature versus nurture thing.
yeah,
But I want to stress to my child that getting information is important. As
mm,
for my son, definitely like I want to give him as much information because you can't. At the end of the day, your son is gonna make decisions that's not gonna be the best,
right.
and your daughter. But the power is that you are able to make. You have the right amount of information to make a critical thinking decision.
Mm,
You get what I'm saying? Because if they
yeah,
don't have that information, then they make bad decisions because they don't have the right amount of information and the wisdom to parse it out. But
mm,
if you already hand it in, and it's easy for like my daughter, it's kind of like I go back to like the Torah where it talks about the father and the father's role in the daughter's life,
mm,
and the role of the father to the daughter is kind of like the kind of like that bridge between the man and the daughter.
yeah,
You know that image that you have like the father with the shotgun.
Yeah.
behind them.
Yeah.
That's the man is really just saying like, yo, dude, I'm not gonna shoot you, but just know if you come over here,
It's the protection aspect of it.
I'm
Yeah.
here. You
I'm
know
gonna
what I
protect
mean?
mines.
So
Yeah.
you as that's why a father is for daughters are detrimental too,
Yeah.
because it's like if my daughter's going on a date, I should be the first one at the door. Like, yo, what's up? Who are you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Like, what's
Like,
going on?
what's going on? You serious about this? What's up? 'Cause that's and when I watch a lot of movies, especially movies of like military movies, you see the daughter always want to. You see the daughter always want the father to like the dude that
Yeah.
they dating.
Hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that when you
Yeah, I
watch
noticed that.
movies. And like, but in our area, we don't have that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, and when you like, of course, back then in the Torah, the father decides who the daughter
I
marries.
was just about to say that's probably why. Yeah.
Because the dad has all the information in the head. He knows
Right.
men. So
Yeah.
he knows like, yo, all right, you gonna marry this person. And then on top of that, for the dude to get the daughter in the Torah, you have to give her a dowry.
Mm.
So like just in case the dude wastes your time, you still have property and resources from the dude
Yeah.
who got you using the dowry,
Mm.
which makes the dude decision to get the daughter even more profound because now I'm giving up resources to
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
daughter. So now I gotta she gotta stay with me. I just gave up a lot. Yeah. So but to translate that to 2021, like as a father, that that
2022.
little oh yeah, 2022, that the information is gonna be powerful to your daughter. Like, yo,
Yeah.
if a man does this, this is what you gotta think.
Hmm.
Oh, if a man is doing this, this you gotta think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm gonna let the you know what I mean? Because in terms of dating, that's how I'm gonna inform my daughter because that's
Yeah.
important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That carries the line, carries the wealth, carries. If we talking about generational wealth, you get one bad marriage with multiple. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Kids that drains your pockets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
teaching your daughter like, okay, this is a list of things that you gotta look out for men, and this is the things. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
women nowadays they're looking for like men that have ambition, that have their life together, and as a father, that's what you want your daughter to date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
We both know that our daughter's gonna be beautiful. So thinking about sex is not the thought; it's the information
Yeah.
that you provide for your daughter, so that she knows like when to have it.
Yeah.
The importance of it, the significance of it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because if you don't do it, that's when the decisions go awry. You know what I mean? Just teaching your daughter to date with more intentions and your
I
son to date
agree.
with more intentions too, like being intentional while they're dating. Of course,
Yeah.
easier said than done. You know what I mean?
Right.
We both have our struggles with it because we didn't have somebody in front of us to explain this to us.
Nah. It's like on the job training. You
It's
gotta.
like on the job training when you're dealing with females. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You talk to them, you shy in the beginning, and then when you start learning, you learn from the wrong people. Then you're like, oh, okay, this is the reaction when you learn from the wrong people. So it's a learning process, and we're
Yeah.
still learning because we just didn't have, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to not know things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. It's when you get a certain age, then it becomes like, okay, now you should know this already.
That you doing too much.
And, but in the beginning, like it's okay for you not to know things, and it's okay for a male to say, "Oh, I don't understand a female," because you're not. That's a
Definitely.
totally different individual, different person, different human being, and it's okay for a female to not understand that. That's why you have the parents
Hmm.
there to explain it
Right.
to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I definitely connect to that. I feel like I definitely connect to the aspect, having, the mentality that a black father should have in raising their kids is
um,
providing information. I feel like enough of that isn't going around.
on top
That's
of
why,
providing safety and
yeah,
and
And I feel
making
like,
sure the food is definitely there, like
right,
for families is still
definitely,
there.
and to hold in on what you were saying a little bit more, just that information aspect. A lot of them coming up in the next generation because of that lack of information, or I guess for lack of better words, the ignorance. They're
Hmm.
making poor decisions, like you said, and not just in the realm of dating, just various aspects. Earlier we mentioned gangs getting involved into this, so I feel like that information process being translated to the younger generation is definitely, especially as a father, is definitely pivotal. But then it makes me think about something very interesting. So to shift it a little bit, but not too much, because we're talking about being a parent, being a father, relaying the information. So basically teaching. So in that realm, and since you are teaching, you mentioned earlier your history teacher, how is it being knowing basically what we just spoke about and the environments that we grew up in, not having a father in our lives, and now we are teaching the kids from the same environments that we grew up in, right? So we know some of them may be experiencing the same situations that we did. So how is it being an educator to Black kids that, just in general, or that may be having the same issues that you and I had growing up?
And shout out to all the teachers that teach in low income areas, poverty stricken areas, because it is a battle. Because there are issues in those areas.
Mm,
Um, but first, for me as a black male teacher, like the first things first, like going into a the corporate world or going into like a professional setting, it's a
mm,
totally different world.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
We Nobody
definitely.
teaches us how to come into a professional world. So you're learning on. So you're at first you're just a bug on the wall, like trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah,
Wait, I can't say these things. Oh wait, hold up. I can dress like this. Wait, hold up. What's going like? Why? You know what I mean? So like
yeah,
you gotta understand what's going on first, because you this is a whole different world controlled by like different energy that you're come from. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
there's things that you could do in your neighborhood that you cannot do in that world.
right,
So you got to learn that first.
mm,
But then when it comes to like teaching the kids, it's more about helping the kids unlearn the things that they are learning from their neighborhood that are negative,
yeah,
and then providing them with information because they feel like because especially in high school they often feel like some of them feel like they really know the answer.
mm,
They feel like they already have the answer to life already.
right,
And then you realize like when you were that age, you also felt that way.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So you
yeah,
gotta understand that a kid is gonna be a kid. That's the first thing you gotta understand. Because they will get you tight. They they'll get you frustrated. They'll have you jumping off the walls and all types of stuff. So they'll get you heated. You know what I mean? But you got to understand that they're kids and they're gonna make kids mistakes. So once you
yeah,
understand that, you just got to keep feeding them information.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And then in our neighborhood, like again, if we don't intercept them early, that's
mm,
why I feel like we got to have more professionals, not just me and you in front of the kids, but like more lawyers, more doctors, visible, constantly visible
mm,
with them because once you don't intercept them early, sometimes you just all you could do is just love them, like keep just
yeah,
love because they already like only life could change them.
mm,
Because you know what I mean? Because some kids you could tell them like, yo, don't touch that. That's gonna burn your hand, or
yeah,
do it this way because this will help you.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna always advocate and getting your education.
definitely.
I really think that has the higher percentage of you having a good life in this world. You know what I mean? Um, Everybody should get that. That's why I feel, especially coming from where I'm from, I feel like that's
Mm,
the only way. You know what I mean?
mm,
I think that rapping and basketball should be hobbies that you take seriously, but your education should always come first.
yeah,
Um, but you know what I mean? Like you gotta constantly make them like as a teacher, as a black teacher, you gotta constantly not only teach them the content, but also teach them about life skills. Because a lot of them are coming from communities that don't have the right role models, not enough
mm,
of the right role models,
mm,
and their parents don't have time to be there for them.
right,
You know what I mean? That's why I said shout out to all the the teachers that work in low income communities, that work in poverty stricken communities, because you're not only a teacher there, like you're a social worker, you're a therapist. You
bro.
know what I mean?
So many hats.
You
Yeah.
might have to feed a kid once in a while. I mean, kid don't have a jacket, you might have to give a kid a jacket. You know what I mean? You might have to deal with emotional trauma, physical trauma, because in the hood there's different things going on. You know what I mean?
Mm,
You might have a girl that's getting molested by her uncle
yeah,
and
definitely.
then has to come to school, or you might have kids that just saw somebody get shot, or they just lost a person that's important to them constantly. This is not
Mm,
just one thing. This is constant chronic stress.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they got to come back in the building and learn. So, but then you got to make sure to tell them like, yo, there's no excuses. Like you just went through all that stuff that you went through in your neighborhood, but you still got to come here and learn. You got to still hold that line, because if you don't, they slip.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's kind of
definitely.
like a balance, because you want to feel sympathetic to them, but you understand in your heart that I can't be sympathetic to you because I know the world don't isn't gonna care. They only gonna care about, do you have that degree? Do you have that skill that we could use to further our, whatever agenda, that whatever job you working at. You know what I mean? They don't care
Right.
about trauma when you was young.
Yeah.
Then they don't care about that. So as a teacher, you have to deal with that element from our community, but you also have to let them know like, yo, we life goes on. We got to keep going.
That's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy, bro. It's like a heavy balance to maintain. Definitely. That's crazy. You seem like you had
What you think? What you think, man? I didn't even get your opinion.
uh,
You was teaching the younger kids,
I
the
was
younger kids, the ones that I can't do, man. I can't do the Google Gaga
oh yeah,
stuff.
I preferred teaching the young kids as elementary because I feel like that's where it starts. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? That's the foundational aspect of it all. If you could nip certain things in the bud early on, then maybe a kid would be a little bit better off as they get older.
mm,
So when I went into education, that's kind of one of the mentalities that I had. And when I stepped into the classroom, being from the environment that I was from and not having a father figure, it it instilled with me a little bit more patience and understanding than all the other educators around me. So you know
mm,
what I mean? So and I will be like I don't know, it just gave me like a different perspective. Like there will be times where like it's just an example where like I'm teaching something and like let's say for example I'm teaching math or whatever. I ask the kid a question and they give an answer
mm,
like and all the kids tell me like all the kids laugh. Like I'm like I will always keep a straight face and I'm looking at that kid and I'm like because of the environment that I came from and understand that I'm looking at him and I'm like there's a reason why you processing what you're processing that way. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like explain. And then they'll give the explanation and then when they give the explanation all the other kids is just like, "Oh, that makes sense." You know what I'm saying? And I'm like but I don't know. I say all that to just say like it just allowed me to look at things differently. Like when
mm.
kids will act up, most students or most a lot of teachers that I saw this. I hated when teachers did this, but this is not a shot to you if you do this. Like kids will act up. They'll be like get out of my class.
That's me,
they'll,
bro.
they'll
That's
be like yo
me.
get out, go to the main office. You
Zero
know what I'm saying? Not
tolerance, bro.
understanding that you don't know what that kid is going through at home. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Maybe that sometimes we just do things for attention. Maybe you don't
mm,
have that, like based off what we spoke about.
yeah.
Maybe that kid doesn't have that male figure in his life to give him attention. So now he's probably going about it the wrong way. He's like, yo, you a male teacher, but you got 30 other students. I want you to
Mm,
pay attention to me. So what can I do to get your attention? And naturally,
mm,
as kids, depending on the kids, they gravitate more towards the negative than the positive. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do something quote unquote stupid to get your attention. So now I start acting up. And
mm,
now instead of you understanding, yo, let me figure out what's going on, you having that short patience, you like, yo, this dude's disrupting
mm.
my class, yo, get out. And now in the kid's mind, he's like, you probably hurting him even more because he's like, dang, this is not the response I wanted to yield. I want your attention, but now I'm gonna get in more trouble. You sending me to the principal's office. You know what I'm saying? And I may get even more trouble, get suspended. Then I gotta go back to the home, and I gotta stay there. I can't come back to school. I gotta stay in the home that's making me act like this anyway. So I feel like, you know, it definitely just taught me more patience. So when I would be in an environment like that, kids starts acting up, I'm like, we're gonna talk after class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everyone leaves or whatever. Keep that door open. You know, being a black male teacher, you don't want to get yourself in trouble. Keep that door open as you talk to that kid. Yeah, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? What's up? And in those situations where I had that one-on-one with those students, the things that they would say was mind-blowing. Like, I'm like, and I almost got tight at you. I almost kicked you out of my class. I almost barked on you. That would have made what you feeling even 10 times, what you holding 10 times heavier. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm talking to them and they're like, yo, you know, I apologize for disrupting your class. I'm going through this at home. And 9 times out of 10, those kids that were acting like that, they didn't have male figures in their life. So they were really doing that to really get your attention. And then when you gave it to them, they'll be like, you know, thank you. You know, sometimes they even say thank you, but you could see that's what they wanted. So I feel like, you know, teaching kids, especially kids that look like you and me, and after experiencing what we experienced, we gotta have a higher level of patience and a higher level of understanding, and we gotta be way more empathetic. Not sympathetic. We gotta be way more empathetic because we actually understand what they're going through because we've been through it. You know what I'm saying?
I do. To do a counter argument to that, I agree with what you're saying. Though I think every kid needs a different energy, but I do also know the power of reacting to what a kid does, like basically addressing the behavior with a certain reaction. Like if it's an egregious behavior, then I feel like you have to address it with a certain reaction to let the kid know, like, yo, this without what you did was just crazy. You can't be doing that.
But there's levels.
There's levels
also,
to it. I just feel like also you gotta, once you do that, you have to go back to the kid and have that conversation because maybe they don't have that. There's an information gap there because like maybe they don't know what they did. Because it's okay like when it comes to our community, like I had to learn how to tie a tie freaking when I was like 23, 24. Right. I still struggle with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that shows me that, like, and that's something that I know my boy Alex, like, he knows how to do it behind it, like with his eyes closed.
It's crazy.
But I gotta go in the mirror. I gotta have a video in front of me. So it shows me that I got information that I don't know, that I didn't grow up with. So imagine them. They probably don't know. They don't have that etiquette. Yeah. Because they weren't taught that when they were younger. You know what I mean? Because when you're from our neighborhood, the information gap, it varies. Yeah. You might know somebody else might know a little bit less or way less. You know what I mean? Because we grew up, there's kids that didn't know how to read. Yeah. They're right. That got made fun of. You know what I mean? So we have, like, I always feel like even after addressing the behavior, there's always need to be a conversation about, like, yo, why is this behavior egregious and how this behavior impacts not only you but the people around them. Because that's what they don't realize. Like, if I'm teaching a class, like, and you messing up the classroom, you messing up everybody else's education. You're not only messing up yours. It's kind of like, yeah, I gotta help you out, but also I gotta help them out. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, like, sometimes I like address behavior straight on because it's like, yo, like you
the teacher that, like, get out.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach you that's how you get out. Because then later I'm gonna come to you and say, listen, this is what you did wrong, and this is how it's gonna impact you, and it's gonna impact your community. And that's it. And the thing is, I feel like the classroom is like a microcosm of our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Because those 1 or 2 kids, those 3, 4, 5 kids could really mess up 10 other kids from getting what they need.
What grade do you teach?
9th grade.
That's why. You remember, I'll spectrum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's different.
That's probably why our spectrum is different. I mean, I could, like, the last grade I taught was 5th, so I was from K to, I got uh, graduated with a degree from to teach K to 6.
Yeah.
K to 5 with an extension to teach 6. So my spectrum was a little bit different. I
Yeah.
probably would be a little bit more stern if I was working with older kids,
Uh-huh.
but because I was working with younger kids, you gotta provide much more of a degree of patience because
Mm-hmm.
they're young. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Mm-hmm.
gotta pull them aside, and that's what the initial conversation is for. If you just tell the
Mm-hmm.
kid to get out, remember we also gotta keep in mind we have to leave room for conversation. If
Definitely.
if your initial reaction is explosive, then next time that kid see you, he might be like, "Yo, I want to talk to you." You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like, yo, last time just because I did, in their mind is something small, but to you, it's like you said, yo, I gotta pay attention to all these kids. They don't see it that way.
They
They
don't
see
see
it
it.
like, yo, I did this little thing, and why you doing so much? Like, it's not that
Mm-hmm.
deep. And you like, yo, what you mean it's not that deep? You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's their mentality. So you got to kind of leave room. If you just initially explode, now next time they see you, they're not gonna. It's not gonna be welcoming. They're not gonna have a conversation with the kids
Mm-hmm.
that I had when I took the approach that I took with them, where I was just like a little bit more patient. Next time I saw them, they were more inclined to listen to me. Yo, he's Mr. Remy's cool. He's understanding. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could have a one-on-one with him. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm like. Of course, when they go past that threshold, you got to be stern with them. Like, all right,
You got
nah.
to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I feel like initially we gotta leave that room. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, for example, like your mom growing up, she'll be like, you'll do something, she'll be like, yo, don't do that. She'll explain to you not to do it once. Then she'll tell you again twice, yo, I told you not to do it. 3 times, maybe even 4 times. Then on the fourth time, pat, you're gonna get hit. You know what I'm saying? But then,
My mom was the opposite though. My mom addressed every behavior.
yeah,
She was
initially,
going in. Yeah, my mom was going in now.
my mom will be like,
Well, my mom butt heads a lot, but um,
yeah.
but
But I say that to say when my mom did that, me and my mom, like, we have right now, like literally, she's like, some people say like she's my best friend because literally we
mm,
could talk about anything. And I feel like her, addressing situations like that, it provided more room of a conversation. You know what I'm saying, for us
mhm.
to talk. But if I initially did something wrong and she just came and her reaction was explosive, in my mind now I'm gonna look at her differently. I'm gonna start to hide things from her. I'm gonna start to move differently towards her. You know what I mean? And we don't want our kids to be that way with us. We want them to be upfront. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, but that the thing is, and I'm not you're not blaming. You can't blame a mother in a high risk area for how they raise their child. They're trying to. My mom all her life was just trying to get me away from the negative influences.
yeah.
She was doing whatever she can to do that, without
Mm,
help. So that goes to that argument. But to back on, bringing it right back to the students.
mm,
Um, we have a strong love for the students
yeah.
because they're going through the same exact things that we're going through. But because we made it to where we're at, we have a better understanding of how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And I feel like us being kind of like on the front lines with everybody else, all the other teachers on the front lines from whatever diverse place.
Mm,
You know what I mean, whether you from, there's teachers that are from China, there's teachers from Korea, there's teachers that are from Africa, there's teachers from Europe, there's teachers from South America. Everywhere are teaching kids that are from low income areas. You know what I mean?
mm,
All in the front lines with us. You know what I
yeah.
mean? We are trying to, navigate these kids to get to a better direction. And we can see that it's definitely like a community. Other races are coming in and helping us out.
Yeah.
And we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
But our love for the students comes from
Seeing ourselves in them.
being ourselves from them. You know what I mean? Like we can't take ourselves away from it
Yeah.
because that's where we got every emotion from.
Yeah.
That's where we felt our love from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where our, you know what I mean, like Tupac says, like the growing from the concrete. That's where we grew up from. So we
Yeah.
can't separate ourselves from that. To tell us to separate ourselves from that is like telling us to abandon ourselves because
Yeah.
that's what made us. You know what I mean? If we had a stamp in our back Mine will say Flatbush, Brooklyn. You know what I mean? And yours would be like Brownsville, East New
East New
York.
York.
I don't know. I always thought those two was like the same area, man.
Brownsville, East New York. Nah. You say that to the wrong person, they're gonna get tight. Like, yo, what you talking about?
Stupidity. Well, we gotta close out. Any last words you want to say? I know
Nah, man. I
kind
think,
of put
yeah. I
everything.
mean, I think tonight was definitely. I think this was definitely a powerful episode. Definitely strong,
Mhm.
especially because it relates to a lot of us directly. Especially even me and you talking about it. You know, we both didn't grow up without a dad, and it impacted us. Impacted our mental health, the way we viewed society, the way we grow
Mhm.
up, certain mannerisms that we even have today. So I think this one was definitely deep, and I feel like the goal should be to acknowledge some of these things, some of the mannerisms that we have, some of the insecurities that we have,
Mhm.
and that is connected back to us not growing up with a father, not having them there. And I think the goal should be to analyze that and work on those things, hone it. You know what I'm saying? Try different ways to fix it, find peace with that situation, call your dad and just maybe have a conversation with him, talk it out, bury everything. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us are walking around with that baggage, and like I said earlier, it's impacting not just negative relationships that we're not supposed to be in or people that we're supposed to be affiliated with, but also positive relationships, people that are here to help and have a positive impact on our lives. So that's my closing. What about
Yeah.
you?
I mean,
Anything you
my
want to add?
closing is definitely growing up without a dad, and again feeling that love early, and then having that absent later, and seeing how it impacts me and how like the big hole it left in me,
Mm,
how I interacted through my middle school, throughout my high school. Um, Now that I experienced that and I go through that, life is about experiences. Like you're going through this, you're learning from it, you're gaining wisdom, you're gaining knowledge, and all this stuff is not only not one is gonna make me make a definitely pick a strong woman just like me to have kids with, because now like because of that lack not having a father, I know how important I am,
yeah,
and I know how important it is to have a mom, and I know how important it is for us to work together. So just having that right person to do that with is definitely something that I'm looking for if go moving forward, just because of that experience, and just also just that experience also gives me empathy and sympathy for individuals who around the world without fathers, and who grew up like it, because all of us experience um, that mental trauma
yeah,
of growing up without it. Whether your father passed away, whether your father left you, whether your father was, you know what I mean.
yeah,
Regardless, you still go through it. So
definitely.
just shout out to those that continue to persevere even though you go through that condition. Because like I said, this is a jungle. Like life, there's nobody that really feels. People feel sorry for you, but the sorry that we want to feel from other people, we're not gonna get it, because we
Hmm.
still gotta strap our boots and continue to work and
That's true.
have a
Say
life for ourselves.
that's true. Say I don't think I could have said it better. So until next time, thank you, family, for rocking with us. Hope you
Mhm.
gain something from this episode. Please leave your comments.
And
Definitely
what do
share.
you and what you think about fatherhood? Put it in the comments too. What you think
Yeah,
about fatherhood? Put that in the comments. We would definitely want to broaden the conversation to everybody.
definitely share that article that you read earlier. Powerful already.
Yeah, that's gonna be underneath the YouTube link, definitely.
Definitely. So thank you, family. See you next time. Until then, peace, prosperity, and Black Power, family.
This guy.